What's up, everybody? This is your WWE Raw post show for Monday, April 19th, 2021. Tonight, Asuka beats Charlotte, Riddle gets a big win, and Retribution loses their masks. Let's do it. That's right. Retribution has lost their mask. They've been unmasked. We will discuss Retribution here tonight. What an episode of Monday Night Raw. Oof. 2 weeks removed from WrestleMania. How we all feeling about Raw tonight? Hit me up on the chat. Shout out to the members. Doug Hepburn, Craig Paquette, I see you. I see guys upset about a hockey game of some sort going on. I guess the Canadiens are playing. I know a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans in the chat. I don't know. I hope they are doing all right. We're here to talk about Monday Night Raw and what's going on there. I watched Raw tonight, a 3-hour episode of Raw. Whew. It was rough. It was not an easy watch tonight. Still, last week was rough. Tonight was just not much better. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Click the bell when you subscribe so you get notifications every time we are on. Become a member of the channel. Go to donate.ringsidereport.net. Get some fancy merch. Look at me. We're your MMA authorities here on Ringside Report, Ringside Report Network. We sell cups over at merch.ringsidereport.net. My face is on this cup. Look at that. Oh, that's me. That is me on a cup, and I'm drinking out of it. Yum, yum. Tastes better out of a Ringside Report cup. Go to merch.ringsidereport.net. Drew McIntyre needs to get himself a cup or something. He needs to figure something out. And like we say, we watch Raw so you don't have to. What's up, Angelo? I see Angelo in the chat. Super chat monster, Angelo, my main man. Raw was just not fun. And I was watching Raw really for you guys. I am watching this show for you. I am not watching this show because I enjoy it. Johnny North isn't on these Monday night shows with me anymore. And Friday night, our show used to be live. We used to do a once-a-week type of show, but now we're coming on more often. And Johnny doesn't come on with me after Raw, right? He comes on with me on Fridays after SmackDown. So it's mostly a SmackDown show. So Johnny now doesn't even watch Raw. He's like, well, I don't have to watch Raw. I'm not covering Raw. And I'm envious of Johnny a little bit because this show sucked tonight. It started off sucking big time. Drew McIntyre with a promo. These are times I wish we had real fans so they could boo him out of the building or just be quiet when he's pausing for his applause breaks that the Thunderdome, of course, obliges with because it's a fake crowd. But a real crowd for Drew McIntyre, I have been saying his whole run, a real crowd would not accept this. When he was WWE champion, when he was coming out every week cutting these promos like he did tonight, a real crowd would get bored real quick of Drew McIntyre. And some of these hostile crowds, you go to Philadelphia, you go to Jersey, you go to New York, you come to Canada, you go to Toronto, you go to Montreal, some hostile crowds in the Northeast would not be too friendly to Drew McIntyre and his promo style. But luckily for Drew, he's in the Thunderdome. But you saw how quiet the fans were for the match at WrestleMania with him and Bobby. Terrible promo from Drew. Shout out to Lauren Cronish on the chat, Bob Cote as well. Regulars here on the chat tonight. Shout out to the dudes. You guys watching Raw? Anybody see Raw? Just give me a I saw Raw or I did not see Raw on the chat. Just for me, I'm wondering. Is anybody actually watching this show or am I the only one? I know there's a couple people out there watching, but I don't know how many people are actually watching Raw on a regular basis. It is a tough watch. I got to be the only one who watches every week, right? I got to be the last sucker left who is watching this show every week. Is anybody in the chat watching Raw? Tell me. Angelo, I guess you didn't watch Raw. He says, I heard that tonight's Raw was literally a carbon copy of last week's. True? Yeah, pretty much. We saw a lot of the same matches as we saw last week. We saw the Viking Raiders versus Shelton and Cedric. We saw Damian Priest versus The Miz. A lot of what we saw tonight is what we saw last week. And a lot of what we saw last week is just continuation from WrestleMania. And why would we expect different? We're headed towards WrestleMania Backlash with the only big announced main event for that show, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title, which was the WrestleMania match for Raw. Awful stuff. Patrick says, I never watch Raw. Thank you, Patrick. TK did not see Raw. Angelo didn't see it. Doug says he got parts here and there, but Lauren says he watched snippets. Bob says I watched half of Raw and then mostly hockey. See, nobody's watching this show. Oh, I love it. I love that no one is watching it. That is fantastic to me. Is anybody watching Raw? Did anybody actually sit down? There's got to be somebody out there that actually sat down and watched the whole episode of Raw like I did tonight. I can't be the only sucker, right? Oh, no one is watching this. Why would you? It is painful. And basically, if you watched last week, you really didn't miss anything this week. A couple of things, but, you know, DQ finishes, nonsense finishes in a lot of these matches. Drew McIntyre started the show with a promo. And then the Viking Raiders wrestled Shelton and Cedric. Randy wrestled Riddle, which, quite honestly, it was probably match of the night. Naomi and Lana wrestled Shayna and Nia. Kofi wrestled Elias. Drew wrestled Mace and T-Bar and won by disqualification when they double-teamed him. And then he teamed up with Braun Strowman, who made the save for him for no reason in particular, which we'll get to here in a minute. Damian Priest wrestled The Miz again, and Asuka Charlotte was the main event, which had a screwy finish, which I'll tell you about. Because you guys didn't see it. Because nobody's watching this stupid show. My goodness. I see you, Angela. You're relying on me, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys being here, relying on me to tell you what's going on Raw. It's what I'm here for, guys. It's what I'm here to tell you about for some reason. It is painful, though. I'm telling you. After the weekend I had watching that terrible Jake Paul pay-per-view, and now I have to watch Raw. I'm watching a lot of stuff for the channel more than I am watching it for myself. Thank God for AEW Dynamite. That's really the only show that I watch every week that I actually like. And even then, you know? Even then. Like if Raw was a series you could binge on Netflix, no one would get through the first 2 episodes. They'd be like, forget this. What's the point? Last week's episode is the same as this week's. It's the same. First 2 episodes are exactly the same. Why would I watch episode 3? It's probably going to be the same. And you know what? Next week will be the same. You'll get a lot more of the same on Raw. Bank on it, because we had non-finishes tonight. Bob Cote said, yeah, Charlotte did beat the crap out of a referee tonight, which I guess was kind of fun. Beat up the referee in the main event. We started the show with Drew McIntyre talking about winning the triple threat last week to become #1 contender, and then he got attacked by Retribution, and he's like, I know that MVP is the one behind Retribution. He's pulling the strings, and when he gets his hands on those bastards, he's going to get some Retribution. Ha 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 ha. Truly terrible promo from Drew. MVP shows up. He says he didn't send T-Bar and Mace to attack him last week. He was not behind the Retribution attack. He and Bobby have no affiliation with Mace and T-Bar. They are not affiliated with the Hurt Business. Okay? And Drew's like, yeah, but you've been sending guys after me constantly. Why would these guys not be guys that you have hired to come after me? Before WrestleMania, the whole story was, oh, we were going to do a bounty on Drew McIntyre. Anybody could take him out in the locker room. Before WrestleMania, you get his title match. Right? That was the whole thing. And then, they enlisted King Corbin, and Shelton and Cedric couldn't get the job done. They had that whole story. And then Bobby wrestled Drew at Mania and won with a terrible distraction finish where Drew was about to hit his kick, and then MVP just yelled at him ringside, and Drew just was like, huh, huh, huh. And MVP is like, Drew, you suck. And then Bobby put his Hurt Lock on, and Drew passed out from a full Nelson, which is ridiculous, right? So why wouldn't Drew think that MVP sent Mace and T-Bar after him? That's been the whole deal. And again, Bobby's got to wrestle Drew at WrestleMania Backlash. So Drew doesn't buy MVP's defense, and neither do I, really. And also, who cares? And then Mace and T-Bar show up, and then they beat up Drew McIntyre. And MVP's just kind of giving a look like, oh, this is amusing, but I have nothing to do with this. And then Mace and T-Bar walk by MVP and act like they're not with him. Terrible, terrible opening promo. That's how you open the show tonight. You open the show with this terrible angle that no one cares about. No one cares about Mace and T-Bar. Are they or are they not with Bobby Lashley? Who gives a shit? Does it matter? No. It's just dumb. So, Mace and T-Bar are then interviewed in the gorilla position. They're asked, like, what's going on? Why did you attack Drew? What's the deal? Are you affiliated with MVP? And then T-Bar, I think, goes, dogs, cats, snakes. Literally, he just started naming animals. Cows, chickens, roosters, fucking rhinoceros. Or as my buddy AJ would say, rhinoceros. He didn't say rhinoceros. He said saber-toothed tigers. And then they go, they're extinct, aren't they? And that's what Drew McIntyre's going to be when we're through with him. What an awful promo. What an awful promo. How was Adnan tonight? Angelo wants to know. Ugh. Not good. He made references to, what did he make references to tonight? Johnny Cash and the movie $1 Million Baby? Was that the movie? With Clint Eastwood, $1 Million Baby, right? Made references to that. He can make some pop culture references, I suppose. Can't make any pro wrestling references because this guy only started seriously watching WWE in January. This is not a pro wrestling guy, and he's now the voice of Raw. And I tweeted out, like, imagine ESPN hiring a guy to do Sunday Night Baseball who only seriously started watching baseball 3 months ago. They wouldn't do it. No sports franchise in a major league would hire somebody who is so inexperienced and has such a small knowledge base about the sport or sport entertainment that he is calling. No one would do this. No one would hire an NFL play-by-play guy. This is Raw, right? This is the WWE. This is the major leagues, the flagship show. Imagine a hockey game being called by a guy, an NHL hockey game, right? A lot of hockey fans in the chat, being called by a guy who only seriously started watching hockey 3 months ago when he was thinking about applying for this job, when he was recommended for the job. Imagine that. Imagine if somebody tells me, Dave, we want you to call the Montreal Canadiens games on TV. You're going to be the Hockey Night in Canada play-by-play guy. Okay. Yeah, we're going to pay you a good amount of money, and you're going to be our guy. I mean, I'm going to say yes. I'm not blaming Adnan. I'm blaming the WWE. I'd say yes to calling hockey. I don't know shit about hockey. But I'd study up, and I'd do my best, and I'd take the money. Because it's a prestigious spot. I recognize that. Dave, you're going to do the Hockey Night in Canada play-by-play broadcast. Okay. I guess I'll study up on hockey. But, they wouldn't do that because no sports league, sports team, sports broadcasting, as many idiots are in sports broadcasting, even they wouldn't do such a stupid move. Even they would not hire such an inexperienced man to cover their shit. Imagine if I covered Canadians games. Good God Almighty, he scored a goal. Who did? The fucking guy who's skating, man. I don't know. Who cares? We're winning. Yeah! I think I'd probably do a good job. I think it would be fun. I'd call it like wrestling. I'd call everything like wrestling. Why not? It's more fun that way. He fucking scores! People would like that. I think it'd be money. Who's fucking texting me now? This is AJ. If I get text at like 11:30 at night, it's my buddy AJ spamming me. That's what's going on. My phone is just dinging off the hook, and it's AJ just sending me spams. After 11 o'clock, he's like, I don't know what he does at 11, but after 11, it's like, I don't want to do play-by-play on another Justin Bieber show, Doug. Thank you very much. That Justin Bieber show that we saw on Saturday night was enough Justin Bieber. Enough Triller for me. I saw that Holyfield, you say Holyfield's going to fight in Triller. I'm done with Triller. Triller is my least favorite promotion. Triller makes the WWE look like geniuses. They really do. What an awful, awful promotion that was. An awful fight. An awful night of fights. Just really terrible and long and just dragged out. I don't care to see Jake Paul, who I thought was a terrible boxer. Turns out he's a mediocre boxer. At best. I don't need to see him again. That was bad. Raw was bad. Everything I'm watching lately is bad. Being the Elite was pretty good today, I guess. I watched that. That was all right. The Stone Cold documentary on A&E last night was not so bad. The show afterwards I thought was really good. The Collector show where they go and find stuff. I don't know what it's called. Hidden Gems or I don't know what it's called. But it was good. Mick Foley was there trying to track down some Mick Foley memorabilia, like the first Mankind shirt and an old mask and stuff. Or an old Socko, I think he got. It was cool seeing these guys who have wrestling memorabilia collections. Like, some of these guys are spending a lot of money just to have, like an old singlet from whoever. They buy it at auctions or whatever. It's cool stuff. I mean, I'm jealous, obviously. I want all the stuff that they have. I wouldn't be allowed to display it like they do, but I do want it. It is pretty cool. It's a cool show. I like that show. Just that was all right last night, I guess. I don't know if anybody saw that. The A&E stuff from WWE. It was pretty good. It was not so bad. The Stone Cold documentary was like very superficial, but, there were some moments there I liked. He talked about his kids a little bit, which is interesting and sad. Right? Says, oh, we're talking now. Which you kind of understand, well, there's a point where he wasn't talking to his kids, and he's like, I don't really know them as much as I should. He doesn't really know his children. He's got 2 daughters. And that's sad to me. I think no amount of money or fame is really worth not knowing your kids. I know my son pretty well. He's pretty awesome. So I wouldn't trade that for anything. Feel bad for Stone Cold a little bit. But those are the choices he made, right? That's the wrestling business sometimes. It's tough. I'd like to know a little bit more about his personal life and just kind of his trials and tribulations. I know that he's gone through, alcohol and different kind of demons and stuff, and he was arrested. And, I'd like a little deeper dive on the life of Steve Austin or Steve Williams, the real guy, and a little less Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestling story. Like, hey, I got fired from WCW, then I went to ECW, and Paul Heyman called me, and I was drinking beer. It's like I've heard these stories a million times over the past 20, 25 years, right? I wanted something a little bit more fresh. I went to ECW, son, and then I got a call from WWF, and Jim Ross brought me in, and Vince said I was going to be the ringmaster, and they didn't really let me talk, and then they did let me do the King of the Ring thing, because, it's like I've heard this story a million times. It was fun to watch, but I don't know. Took me back a little bit to the good old days of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's crazy to think it only lasted like 4 or 5 years really on top. And if you weren't around to experience it, like if you didn't see Stone Cold live in person, you really can't grasp how big of a star he was. When he came out, everybody in the sold-out building, because he sold out all the buildings he went to because he was that over, everybody in the building jumped to their feet when that music hit and just roared. It was a guttural, like, ah, when Stone Cold would come out. And that sound was coming from every man in the building. Ah! Imagine like 20,000 guys just going, ah! It was quite a sound when Stone Cold Steve Austin would come out. I've never heard anything like it. I've heard loud buildings, but the pop for Steve Austin was something else. Austin in his prime, holy shit. No one has ever been more over. No one. Like Hogan even. I don't think he was as universally loved as Austin was when Austin was on top. That was nuts. To experience the Austin era was quite something. All right. Back to Raw. I mean, Raw sucked. The Austin stuff was better, and it's a lot more fun to talk about. The good old days of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the thing. I think that's why I get so mad when I watch Raw and it's so terrible. Because I remember when Raw was the best show. Right? And I think a lot of us remember that. We remember when Raw was the best show. Like, not wrestling show, like just show. It was the best. Raw is War. The War Zone, Tell me the War Zone isn't your favorite wrestling show of all time. That's the thing. This is still the same show, but it's like been bastardized and it's no longer what we remember or what we love. And there's a lot of us like that. I'm like that for sure. I'm one of these old guys now who just, I miss the War Zone. I miss Raw is War. I miss, the Attitude Era, right? Because it was so fun back then. Even in the early 2000s, the tail end of the Attitude Era, just wild. And you see Raw nowadays, it's just so cookie cutter. You got a fake crowd too, which makes it even worse. It was already so kind of structured and plastic and same. Everything was just the same. But now with the fake crowd, it's even more artificial. It feels even less authentic when you watch it. I remember a time when you watched Monday Night Raw and they said anything can happen in the WWF, and by God, it was true. You'd watch an episode of Raw and you would see some shit or somebody would show up and you'd be like, what the fuck? And it would end in some calamity that you'd be like, how is this happening? And then the next week, you couldn't wait for that next week because it ended so crazy. It's not like that anymore. It's disappointing. I wish they stuck to pro wrestling. I wish they stuck to their bread and butter. I wish they tried a little less to be this entertainment global franchise and a little bit more catering to wrestling fans. But, that's not what they do. It's not what they do anymore. And I think a lot of us are just nostalgic for what the WWE was. And it just isn't that anymore. And it never will be. It never will be. Viking Raiders wrestled Shelton and Cedric in a tag team match that they won, just like they did last week. There's no tag teams on Raw, so this is what you get. Who's on Raw? You got the New Day. You've got Shelton and Cedric. You got the Viking Raiders. And who are the tag team champions? Oh, yeah. AJ Styles and Omos. But wait a second. We haven't seen them since they won the titles at WrestleMania. Where are AJ Styles and Omos? Like last week, they weren't on the show. Okay, I could maybe understand. You're going to save them. You have an angle planned or something, maybe. But again, this week, they're not there. Does somebody have COVID? What's going on? Where are AJ and Omos? They win the tag team titles at WrestleMania, and they have not been seen since. Why? I mean, somebody's got to be sick, right? Sick or hurt. But I don't know. But AJ, all I know is AJ and Omos won the tag team titles from the New Day at Mania. Were not on Raw last week, and again tonight, not on Raw. Okay. Also, Bobby Lashley wasn't on Raw. He's the WWE champion. A lot of champions missing from the show tonight. Where was Bobby? Would have made sense for Bobby to show up, at least with MVP at some point. I get not overexposing your WWE champion, trying to make him into a star. Maybe not putting him on every show. Maybe that's what they were doing tonight, but that's not really how they operate, is it? I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. Something's up with Bobby. Something's up with AJ and Omos, certainly. I think something's up with Bobby, but with AJ and Omos, like red alert, something's definitely up. I'd say my alert level for Bobby right now is at an orange level, but my alert level for AJ Styles and Omos, red alert. 2 weeks missing from Raw, red alert. Sound the alarm, something's up. Something happened. Somebody got sick. Somebody's got the Rona. Vince decided he doesn't like Omos and wants to get rid of him. I mean, who knows? But red alert for AJ Styles and Omos. They missed 2 episodes of Raw in a row, 2 weeks straight of TV after winning the tag belts at Mania. Right? Weird. So something's up with AJ Styles and Omos. Because again, the only tag teams we have left are the New Day, the Viking Raiders, Shelton and Cedric, and maybe Elias and Jackson Riker. I guess they're a tag team too. Pretty weak tag team division on Raw. Pretty weak tag team division on SmackDown too, if we're being honest. There's 4 tag teams on SmackDown too. It's the Street Profits, their Dirty Dog, Ziggler and Roode, the Mysterio family, Ray and his son, and Otis and Chad Gable. That's the tag team division on SmackDown. It's weak divisions all around. But tonight, you really saw an example of that with the Viking Raiders beating Shelton and Cedric again. The match was okay, but it's just like, I saw this last week, and it was fine. And tonight, it was, fine. Randy Orton is interviewed backstage. He says that The Fiend will never be seen or heard from again in the WWE as long as he's around. Did Bray Wyatt get fired? What happened? What do you mean? Is it me or did Randy and Alexa both move on from The Fiend tonight? Because Randy says The Fiend will never be seen or heard from again in the WWE as long as he's around. Which, those are claims that he's made before. But Alexa, she's like, I didn't like everybody. I didn't like The Fiend, and I really don't like everybody in the Raw women's division. She seems to be, in her promo, which we'll get to, which was a mess. Alexa, she seems to be targeting the Raw women's division. So, Randy's moving on. Alexa's moving on. And where's The Fiend? It's kind of weird. His brother got released last week, right? Bo Dallas. Could something be up with The Fiend? Orange alert for The Fiend as well. Bobby Lashley's on orange. Bray Wyatt is on orange. AJ Styles and Omos are in the red zone. Red alert. Missing in action 2 straight weeks. The Fiend, I don't believe, was on Raw last week. I don't believe he's been seen since WrestleMania either, right? Where is The Fiend? And I think people were saying that it wasn't even The Fiend at Mania, but I think it was. I don't know. People thought it was like a fake Fiend wrestling Randy. I don't think so. It was really Bray Wyatt, right? Looked like him to me. But it's hard to tell under the mask, I suppose. Looked like him physically, though. People always throwing rumors out there. But strange that Randy would say The Fiend will never be seen or heard from again in the WWE. Very strange. And then Randy's talking about Drew McIntyre getting the title shot at WrestleMania Backlash. And he says he's going to face the winner between Drew and Randy because he really wants to be WWE champion again. And then Riddle shows up, and he congratulates Randy on his big win at WrestleMania. And he says, I always wanted to meet an Apex Predator. I wonder what that even means, which I thought was kind of amusing. Riddle says he lost his title at WrestleMania, so Riddle lost his U.S. title right at Mania, and Randy got a big win, so he wants to form a tag team maybe with Randy Orton, calling them RK Bro. Randy just walks away. Didn't like the idea of RK Bro. I like the idea of RK Bro. Was Bray Wyatt on the show last week? I don't remember seeing him. I guess he must have done something. What did he do last week? I don't remember. Like, what did he do? Angelo in the chat is telling me Bray Wyatt was on the show last week, which I believe. I believe Angelo, but I'd like to know exactly what he did. Not on the show tonight. I will be able to tell you here because I take notes for every episode of Raw all the time. Alexa Bliss did a promo last week introducing her doll. I don't think Bray Wyatt was on Raw last week. Oh, yeah, he did the Firefly Funhouse. You're right. He did a Firefly Funhouse, which sucked. So maybe when Randy says The Fiend won't be seen or heard from again in WWE, that's because now Bray Wyatt is just going to be the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt? Could that be what he means? He's no longer The Fiend. He's just the Firefly Funhouse Bray, and The Fiend is gone? And Alexa is now like The Fiend of the WWE? That might be it, actually. Bray Wyatt has been demoted from orange alert back to yellow. Still a little surprising that he's not around and nobody's figured him into any of their plans, but he did do a Firefly Funhouse last week, and I could see him just being the Firefly Funhouse Bray for the time being, because Randy just said The Fiend. He didn't say Bray Wyatt. Okay? Randy and Riddle are going to have a match. Randy acting like he doesn't know who Riddle is. He's like the blonde kid with the scooter who doesn't wear any shoes. I want to wrestle that guy. And Pierce is like, yeah, Riddle. Okay. I like that match. I thought that was good. Yes, Firefly Funhouse. Thank you, guys. I'm seeing you guys say it to me on the chat. Thank you. Yeah. So Charlotte Flair in the ring with a promo. Hell of a promo tonight from Charlotte Flair. She said last week when she said she was the opportunity and the main thing on Raw and the centerpiece of the women's division, she wasn't there to try to hurt anybody's feelings. She just wanted to assert herself as a top star in the division. She says all the rats in the locker room that were offended can check the headlines. She didn't have a match at WrestleMania, but everybody was still talking about her at WrestleMania time, wondering where she was, which is true. WrestleMania time, a lot of people talking about Charlotte Flair. Where's Charlotte? Why isn't Charlotte booked? She's not wrong about that. Interesting that she called all the women in the locker room, the women's locker room, rats, which historically has been a term to, ring rats. It's a term, derogatory term to refer to women who hang around the wrestlers, So Charlotte calling the women in the locker room rats, like, that has a double meaning. She could have said anything. I mean, as the T-Bar and Mace demonstrated, a number of animals she could have called them. Pigs, cats, dogs, saber-toothed tigers, whatever the hell that was. She could have said that. But no, she called them rats, which is interesting. To call women in wrestling rats, like, it's got a deeper meaning. Don't think that she didn't know what she was saying when she said that. Charlotte says the women in the division don't even like each other. They're all pretending to like each other. So she doesn't care that they don't like her. She says, big deal that Rhea beat Asuka at WrestleMania. She could beat both of them in one night. That's why they call her the Opportunity. Asuka shows up, goes into the ring, and then Rhea Ripley shows up and goes on the stage. So they're there. And then Charlotte just starts talking to them. She's like, what are you going to do? Gang up on me? You should watch my match tonight, Rhea, and take notes. And then Rhea says Asuka will beat Charlotte tonight. A little foreshadowing for what did happen in the main event. Charlotte's like, that's ridiculous. I already beat Asuka at WrestleMania, and I'll do it again. And then Asuka says, tonight I will beat you, bitch. So, of course, you got to say bitch when you're really mad in the women's division. And we could skip to the end here with the Charlotte Flair Asuka match, which was the main event here at the end of Raw. Asuka getting the win over Charlotte Flair after interference from Rhea Ripley. Charlotte had the figure 8 locked in on Asuka, but Rhea pulled Charlotte's arms down. Rhea was ringside for the match. She pulled Charlotte's arms down, breaking her bridge. Charlotte then went to attack Rhea, and Asuka rolled up Charlotte from behind. The ref didn't see Rhea's interference, and Asuka got the win tonight over Charlotte. Charlotte then got big mad, started telling the referee it was only a 2 count, got very mad at the ref, tossed him across the ring, put the boots to him, and then laid a bunch of elbows into the back of his head as he was beat down and prone on the mat. 2 more referees came in, told her to leave. Charlotte backed off for a second, did not leave the ring, came back on the ref, attacked him some more elbows, and then Charlotte kicked him in the gut and looked really mad, and that's how Raw ended. So Charlotte ended the night with an assault on the referee, which will no doubt cause her to not be booked at WrestleMania Backlash. Asuka getting the win over her tonight probably sets up Asuka versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania Backlash. Charlotte will probably be suspended or something by the WWE, then interfere at WrestleMania Backlash. That's a logical conclusion, but you know the WWE. It's never the logical answer. I think that makes sense. How many weeks away before WrestleMania Backlash? I don't think we're that far now. Are we getting there? Maybe 3 more weeks? WrestleMania Backlash is in May. Takes place on May 16th. So we still have quite some time. I don't know if they suspend Charlotte all that time. That seems like a long time to keep Charlotte off the show. But you attack a referee, you figure they got to do something, right? It is 3 weeks. 4 more episodes. No, 3 more. Sorry, 3 more episodes of Raw before the next pay-per-view on May 16th. They could suspend Charlotte. We'll see. But she attacked the referee. It was okay. The match, it was fine between Charlotte and Asuka. They did some good things. Asuka attempted a code breaker that just missed terribly. Big botch there. Not great. But the match was pretty good. I liked the match up until the finish. The finish was just like, hey, Rhea's interfering, and the ref doesn't see it, and Asuka gets a roll-up. Interference finish. So Asuka, Charlotte, and Rhea continuing their deal. Rhea seems to be on Team Asuka now. I don't really understand that. Why is she helping Asuka? She beat her. She didn't like her, but now she beat her at Mania, and it's like, it's fine now. Now I really hate Charlotte. It's strange. Angelo says they'll probably fine her. Yeah, fine makes sense too. Whatever. I mean, who cares how they deal with it, really? I don't care. Match of the night was Riddle getting the win over Randy Orton. I can imagine my buddy Johnny North, who's the Randy Orton super fan on the show. I'm sure he was upset seeing Randy lose to Riddle tonight. I was pretty happy. I think Riddle is one of the few bright spots on Raw every week. I like his promos. I think he's pulling it off. I mean, what he's given is not great, but he's making it work. His matches are always interesting to watch. He does different things. He wrestles a different style. It's very much his own. He's good in the ring. I really thought the match tonight was good. I like Riddle a lot, and I'm glad that the WWE, I figured Randy would beat him tonight. I really did. I'm glad the WWE is going to do something with Riddle. Probably enter a feud with Randy Orton, but that's not so bad. You lose the U.S. title to Sheamus at WrestleMania, and you kind of think, well, maybe Riddle's going to get jobbed out here. Who knows what they do with Riddle? He's up in a match with Randy tonight, and you think, oh, well, Randy, right, probably beats him. But no, Randy loses to Riddle. A nice crucifix by Riddle. Randy was setting up for the RKO, getting all geared up, and then Riddle jumps on him with a crucifix, rolls him up, 1, 2, 3. That's the win. Riddle gets the win. Riddle also had Randy in a rear naked choke at one point that Randy tapped to, and the announcers were like, oh, Randy tapped her. But Randy, just because he had Riddle on his back, and he went like this, he tapped a couple times, but he was really just looking for Riddle's hair. He was trying to get his head to snapmare him over and get out of the rear naked choke. But it was very awkward the way he did it. I don't know why he did it that way, because it really looked like he tapped out. And the announcers thought he tapped out. It was strange. But he was just kind of reaching for Riddle, but it really looked like a couple taps. And for the announcers to be like, oh, did Randy tap out there? It was a bit of a confusing spot during the match. Otherwise, the match was very good. I really liked it. Nice finish. No distraction. Just a clean victory by Riddle. I thought the match was excellent. Match of the night. Great stuff. Good job, both guys. Both guys did really well. So I was happy with that, at least. Charlotte's promo was good. Riddle and Randy was good. Everything else, I don't know. Sheamus is backstage with Adam Pearce. Pearce congratulates him about winning the on winning the U.S. title. Pearce talks about John Cena and how he did an open challenge. And Sheamus is like, well, I'm not John Cena. I don't really want to do this, but if you're going to try and embarrass me into doing it, then fine. Open challenge for the U.S. title. So then Sheamus goes to the ring for the open challenge. And he's like, oh, I'm the U.S. champion, and I'm going to be a fighting champion, and I'm going to defend the title every week here on Raw or whenever I feel like it. So you can tell Sheamus is still kind of a heel, and he's not really going to do this open challenge. Humberto Carrillo comes out to answer the open challenge, and Sheamus just beats him up. And then eventually he hits the bro kick on Humberto and yells at him, and he's like, you're not in my league, fella. You'll never get a title match. So that's Sheamus and what he's doing. I guess maybe feuding with Humberto until somebody shows up and really challenges Sheamus. Maybe Ricochet reemerges. Maybe Keith Lee comes back at some point. I kind of thought Jeff Hardy would show up tonight, but maybe Jeff is somewhere. I don't know. Injured. Where's Jeff? Wasn't he in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Was he? Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. Where's Jeff Hardy? Was he in that Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Jeff Hardy. I got to find out now. Because when's the last time we saw Jeff Hardy? Battle Royal. Of course, Jey Uso won it. I'm trying to get the Battle Royal participants here, guys. If anybody knows if Jeff Hardy was in this thing, I would love to find out. Andre Battle Royal. Come on, baby. Where's the participants? Oh, this is like all-time participants. What is going on here? Jeff Hardy. No, he was not in this year's Battle Royal. He was not. So where's Jeff Hardy? Maybe he's injured. But he was not in the Andre Battle Royal. Kind of expected him to show up. I don't know where he's been. Sheamus is doing a open challenge for the U.S. title. Trying to find challenges for Sheamus. Maybe Hardy at some point because they like to do that. Maybe Keith Lee if he comes back. Rick O'Shea. Those all seem like possible challengers for Sheamus, right? Elsewhere on Raw tonight, it was the Naomi and Lana team getting the win over Shayna and Nia in a non-title match. But Shayna and Nia, of course, are the women's tag team champions. And Naomi and Lana get the win after a double facebuster on Shayna because Nia just bailed on the match. The Sexy Muscle Friends, Dana and Mandy, interrupted the match to talk on the stage and show a bunch of clips of them attacking Nia last week and Nia falling down during the match and them running away from their match that ended by countout when they just decided to run away from Nia Jax last week, which was ridiculous. And the whole time, and this has taken a while, they're cutting a promo and there's supposed to be a match going on as this is happening. And then we cut back to the ring at a certain point and Shayna's just holding Lana's arm. Like she's just holding an arm bar while Mandy and Dana are talking, which is terrible. And Nia gets so mad at the Sexy Muscle Friends that she abandons the match and goes to chase them. They, of course, leave the stage and go backstage. And Nia follows them and comes out after when Shayna has lost and looks on the stage and is like, oh, no, what happened? Right? Terrible. Bad Bunny at WrestleMania highlights are shown for some reason because they're promoting Bad Bunny. I guess it's part of the deal. They show Bad Bunny's backstage interview after Mania where he's just really happy to have been at WrestleMania and how much he loved working for WWE. And they also say that Bad Bunny's world tour is sold out. I then went to check for tickets because he is supposed to come to my hometown of Montreal, and a lot of tickets are available. You could buy tickets to the Bad Bunny show. So when they say a sold-out tour, I'm not really sure what they mean. To me, sold out means you can't buy tickets anymore. You know, when you go to the tickets, you're like, hey, can I get a ticket? And they're like, no, we're sold out. That, to me, is sold out. But just more WWE lies that they're spewing out there, telling you that Bad Bunny has a sold-out tour when it's not sold out. It's not sold out. Bunch of tickets still available. Go look for yourself in whatever town you're in. If Bad Bunny's coming to your town, bunch of tickets available for his tour. It's not sold out. I don't know what they're talking about. Bad Bunny's friend, The Miz, or at least Miz seems like he's Bad Bunny's friend. He's talking about how he made Bad Bunny famous at Mania and the success of Miz and Mrs. So now Maurice is with The Miz in the ring, and they're hosting Miz TV. John Morrison is not in the picture. I don't know where John Morrison is. Yellow alert for John Morrison. Maurice talks about how much she loves The Miz, and she says that Miz is the greatest superstar of his generation. And she says that with a straight face. Miz looks at her, and it doesn't even look like he believes her. He's like, yeah, well, you know. You remember John Cena? He was, I don't know, the greatest superstar of his generation. I mean, she's his wife, so it's nice that she believes that, but I don't even know if she believes that. She said it. If she does believe it, she's the only person in the world that believes that. Maybe his mom? Even then. Not his dad. I think his dad, like, recognizes that he's, I don't think Miz is his dad's favorite wrestler, you know? So they're drinking champagne. They kiss. Fireworks go off for some reason. And Miz is plugging his reality show and his 24 documentary that's premiering in the WWE Network at some point. And then Damian Priest shows up, and he says that Miz is as delusional as Jake Paul thinking he's a real fighter. So Damian Priest throwing that in there, which, okay. Is Damian Priest a real fighter? At least he's probably in the same weight class as Jake Paul. Jake Paul keeps calling guys out that are 155 pounds, and he's like 190 pounds. I don't really understand, but I guess when you're trying to win fights against real fighters, you have to call out real fighters that you have a 40-pound advantage over, which makes sense. I mean, why call out fighters your own size who will beat you up? Call out guys smaller that you have call out retired fighters that are smaller than you. Better chances, right? Better chances. So I understand why Jake Paul's doing that. I don't understand why Damian Priest and The Miz had to wrestle again tonight. I guess Miz screwed him out of the match last week. Maurice distracted Damian Priest, and then Miz had his feet on the ropes for the pin. Priest takes some of their champagne, says it's no good. And then Miz and Maurice throw champagne on Damian Priest and leave the ring. Then we have the match, which was awful. I mean, it wasn't the worst match I've seen. It wasn't the worst match on Raw, but it wasn't good. Damian Priest got the win over The Miz, hitting his finisher, which is a crossroads. They call it hit the lights. Maurice almost distracted Damian Priest again, and Miz put his feet on the ropes and tried to replicate the finish of last week, but Damian kicked out this time, and then he hit his finisher. Damian Priest looks good. He's a big guy, athletic, can do some flips, power moves. He looks the part, but that Archer of Infamy gimmick where he's like doing the archery miming in the ring and the lights go out and the music and the fire, like I don't understand what this guy's gimmick is. It's not a gimmick. It's nothing. It's like an amalgamation of a bunch of shit that leads to nothing. I don't like it. Oh, right. Jeff Hardy's dad died recently. Is that why he's not on Raw? Has Matt Hardy been missing from Dynamite? Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it hits Jeff harder. Seeing Matt at Dynamite. Maybe Jeff's just using it as an excuse not to go to Raw. Because, like, why would you want to go to Raw if you're Jeff Hardy? What's the point? Collect your checks, stay at home, man. Take all the time you need. But I can understand that, taking time, for sure. Could be the reason why Jeff's not on Raw. Hasn't been in WWE for a little while. Sexy Muscle Friends are interviewed backstage. And Nia and Shayna show up and run them off. And then Shayna tells Nia that they lost the match because Nia has been distracted. And they keep, losing because Nia has been distracted and they're going to lose their belts. And Shayna tells Nia to focus or else. And she walks off. And then Angel Garza shows up for some reason and asks Nia what she sees in that clown Reginald. And I'm like, what do you mean? Reginald hasn't been on TV in weeks. What do you mean, what does she see in that clown Reginald? He wasn't on Raw tonight. He wasn't on SmackDown last week or the week before or WrestleMania. This Reginald Nia Shayna thing died like 3-4 weeks ago, and the WWE seems to have forgotten about it. Where is Reginald? Does he have the Rona? Is he injured? Like, where's Reginald exactly? Why are they still talking about him if he hasn't been seen since before Mania? They built this whole thing. You would think he would show up at WrestleMania with them, but he was not there. Hasn't been seen with them, even though he's supposed to be like their manager. Reginald is missing in action, but they're still talking about him on TV and actively trying to replace him. What does Nia see in Reginald? She doesn't see Reginald. Nobody sees Reginald. He's gone. It's just weird. It's weird that Angel Garza's like, what do you see in Reginald, Nia Jax? And I'm like, what do you mean Reginald? She hasn't been with Reginald in like a month, man. Where have you been? Super weird. And are they just trying to replace Reginald with Angel Garza now? Is Angel Garza going to cause Nia and Shayna to lose the tag titles, and then Nia is then with Angel Garza and Angel's her manager? Like, what? What is this? Fuck. Ridiculous. Where's Reginald? Why are we talking about Reginald if Reginald isn't around? Xavier Woods and Kofi are backstage. Riddle shows up, They congratulate him on his win over Randy. And Riddle is talking about the things that they could put in Woods' case that he has there for his bass guitar. He's got a big case with him. And Riddle's like, we could put so many things in that case. Silver dollars. And then Riddle and Kofi freak out and yell, silver dollar pancakes. I'm usually into the Riddle and New Day stuff, but I didn't even understand what the hell they were doing. And I'm usually down with it. Elias in the ring starts trying to play guitar. Gets interrupted by Xavier Woods with his bass guitar. And Woods is playing the bass now. So he's bringing it to the ring. He used to have a trombone. Now he's got a bass. And he was playing Stone Cold's song at one point during the match. And then Kofi did a Luthez press, and he stomped a mud hole and walked it dry. Did the double finger salute as well. Did one of those, the gesture, the Stone Cold gesture. I like that little Stone Cold tribute from the New Day tonight. I appreciated that. What I didn't appreciate was Elias beating Kofi Kingston. That should never happen. Former WWE champion, future Hall of Famer Kofi Kingston loses clean to Elias. If ever there was a time for a distraction finish, this would be it. But no, Elias just beats Kofi. Kofi attempts a Frankensteiner. Elias pushes him out of it and then hits a top rope elbow drop for the 1, 2, 3. Elias actually beat Kofi. Awful. I like the Stone Cold stuff. I liked Woods with the bass guitar. I like New Day. But the booking of this, like Elias beating Kofi? Come on, man. Elias should never beat Kofi. And wins and losses don't matter, but sometimes they do. Like Kofi's a, top caliber superstar legend of the business. Elias sucks. He's just awful. He should never beat Kofi. He doesn't deserve a win like that. And I know that it's just leading to New Day getting wins over Riker and Elias as a tag team, but even then, none of those guys should ever beat New Day. Riker or Elias. This feud that they're in is awful. Like, New Day is just, I feel bad for them. They have to wrestle Elias and Riker. Like, how do you make this good? And Kofi loses to Elias. They're trying, but god damn, it's bad. Losing to Elias, Kofi Kingston. How dare they do that to Kofi? Alexa Bliss had a promo that was terrible. So she's got a doll, right? The doll is called Lily. So the doll, it's like a creepy doll. I guess a lot of you aren't watching Raw, so maybe you haven't seen Lily, the doll. You don't really need to because it's really stupid. Oh, WWE just tweeted out 10 minutes ago that Charlotte Flair has been suspended indefinitely and fined $100,000 following her actions at the conclusion of Raw. So they are suspending and fining Charlotte. Not really, but that's the story. Okay. And Alexa Bliss has a creepy doll called Lily. I'm trying to find an image of this doll here for you. from tonight. God, it was bad. Alexa says that this doll, Lily, has always been with her. It didn't just start after WrestleMania. This doll has always been with her, and she shows pictures of herself as a child with this doll, like, clearly just photoshopped in. Here's Alexa and Lily tonight from Raw. Right? So Alexa says, well, Lily has been with me for a long time, and I've always been with her, and she's always told me what to do. Okay? And they have images of Alexa as a kid with the doll Photoshop to prove to you that Alexa has always been demented in some way, demonized. And she's had this doll that's got mystical powers. Right? She's got a doll that has mystical fucking powers. What type of dumb shit is this? And you know there are people out there that are like, oh, this is a good promo. This is really good shit, pal. I don't understand. So, Alexa says the doll's always been with her, and one day there was a girl who said that she couldn't have any of her ice cream. So Alexa says, I shoved that little bitch off the swing, and she broke her arm, and then I ate all of her ice cream. And I'm like, well, how did you do that exactly? Because to me, somebody's holding ice cream, right? And you push them down. Did she, like, fall, but, like, set? I mean, you're falling and you're breaking your arm, and you're a kid. That ice cream is all over the place. Or at least the cone is falling into some sand or dirt. Is Alexa eating the dirty ice cream? That's what I wanted to know. I was like, wait a minute.
Super chat. Super chat.
Thank you, Doug. He says for Charlotte. Well, I'm going to keep it, and I'll let Charlotte have it, you know, when she needs it. But I think she'll be good. I think Charlotte will be all right. Thank you, Doug, for the super chat. People trying to start a GoFundMe for Charlotte because she needs to give WWE that $100,000. Even if the fine was real, I think she could probably afford it. I hope she can anyways. She deserves to be a person who can afford it. She's goddamn Charlotte Flair. So Alexa Bliss is eating dirty ice cream, and she says the teachers asked her what happened and why she broke that little girl's arm, and she says, Lily made me do it. And Alexa says that the teachers thought I was bonkers, but if Lily didn't like something, she has no problem to let you know that she doesn't like it. And Alexa says she is warning the little girls on the Raw roster that Lily didn't like him, which is the Fiend, and Lily doesn't like any of them. So she's now turned her attention to the Raw women's roster, so Alexa will be wrestling with this new Fiend, evil Alexa character with this doll that tells her what to do. This doll that has an evil spirit, and then we have a close-up on the doll, and the doll, this inanimate object, starts laughing. It's like animated now. It's like laughing, and it goes to like do a bite, right? Ha 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 ha. That's how this goddamn promo ended. Just terrible stuff. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick dropping the super chat. Doug Hepburn right now, the leader. Thank you, Patrick. Helping Charlotte Flair. Paying Charlotte's fine. I'm going to hold on to it for Charlotte. If she comes to me and says, hey, I know there was some super chats for me. Can I have that money? Maybe I'll give it to her. Oh, no, I'll give it to her. If she comes to me directly and asks for it, I will give Charlotte the money. I'll hold on to it until then. I'm sure she'll come and ask for it, right? Charlotte calls me all the time. She doesn't. I mean, it would be cool if she did. I don't know what we talk about. Probably wrestling, I guess. Probably wrestling. Maybe like Andrade, how cool he is, I guess. I'm sure she could talk about that for a while. Yeah. So Lily the doll is animated, has evil powers, and makes Alexa Bliss do evil things. And now she's going to do evil things to the Raw Women's Division. Great. I mean, just awful stuff. Terrible stuff. Drew McIntyre is getting his 2-on-1 match that he asked for because he got attacked by Mace and T-Bar earlier. So Drew wanted a match against them. Adam Pearce says, no, you need a tag team partner. Drew says, no, I don't need a tag team partner. Let me wrestle them. So Adam Pearce says, okay, I guess. Here's the match. Now, Drew winds up winning by disqualification in, not much of a match when Mason T-Bar just won't stop attacking him in the corner. Braun Strowman then makes the save for no reason in particular. Why did Braun Strowman save Drew McIntyre there? They wrestled last week with Randy in a triple threat. Randy, right? Like, I don't see. Didn't Randy take the fall too? Why is Braun helping Drew here? Why? It didn't make any kind of sense. Does he hate Mason T-Bar? What have they done to him lately? It didn't make a lot of sense for Braun Strowman to step in and be Drew's tag team partner. I think the better setup would have been having Bobby Lashley there if Bobby was available to be on Raw tonight. Because the whole story is Drew believes that MVP, Bobby's manager, has sent Mason T-Bar to attack him. But MVP is denying it. So why not set up a match where it's Drew and Bobby versus Mason T-Bar? So Bobby can prove that he is not really with them. And they can do some sort of finish where Bobby doesn't actually get involved in the match and he just lets Drew get attacked by the both of them. Not because he's affiliated with them, but because he hates Drew and they have a match at the pay-per-view. That, to me, would have been a lot easier to digest and it would have made a lot more sense. But Bobby was not on the show tonight, so instead Braun Strowman steps in to be Drew's tag team partner. And we have a disqualification finish in the 2-on-1 match. Drew winds up winning when Mason T-Bar double-team him. And then we have a disqualification finish in the tag team match that followed. Why? Mason T-Bar beat Drew and Braun Strowman by disqualification when Drew takes T-Bar's mask off and hits him with it. T-Bar slapped Drew, and then Drew took T-Bar's mask off and hit him pretty hard with it. Braun and Drew were hitting Mason T-Bar pretty hard in the match. It was kind of enjoyable until the finish. That was dumb as hell. Like, you're wearing a mask, right? If it's a weapon, should you be allowed to headbutt somebody while you're wearing it? No. But he is allowed to headbutt somebody while he's wearing it. So if Drew takes off the guy's mask and hits him with it, how is that a disqualification? It's not a weapon if it's part of the guy's outfit. Back in the days, Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, used to wear a weight belt to the ring. And in the matches, he would take the weight belt off and smack his opponent with it. And he wouldn't get disqualified. Cody Rhodes does the same thing sometimes, right? And to me, the referee's job at the beginning of the match, sometimes the referees, they check the guys to see if they have any foreign objects in their trunks or whatever. The referee's job is to make sure you don't have anything on your person that can be used as a weapon. And if he allows you to enter this match with a mask or a belt or pants or whatever that could be used as a weapon, well, that's on the referee. The referee cannot disqualify a wrestler for using something that he had already allowed to be part of the match. You follow me? It's stupid. And when you follow the rules, There's more rhyme and reason to what the hell you're doing. If you have a clear path, if you have a clear understanding of what the rules are in these matches, what you can and can't do, it's actually easier to tell these stories. You could tell the stories with the rules. If you have a clear set rule base that the fans can understand, you can tell stories in the ring, deep, rich stories based off those rules that you have established. But when you have bullshit disqualifications like tonight where Drew rips a guy's mask off and hits him with it, well, there's no clear understanding of what's a disqualification and what isn't in the WWE. Because I swear, in a couple weeks, somebody will have their mask ripped off and they'll hit somebody with it, and it won't be a disqualification. Sometimes in the WWE, when you throw a guy over the announce table during a match, it's fine. But sometimes if you do it, you get disqualified. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Set a clear, established base of rules that you can use to build stories off of. It's very simple. It's what pro wrestling has been for years, but the WWE, so many of these tried and true staples of the wrestling business that have worked, the WWE thinks, well, we just got to reinvent it and not do that anymore. It's too wrestling, it's too whatever. The problem is this is what brought you to the dance. This is what works. This is what wrestling fans like to see. If they just stuck to the basics of what got them to where they are, they'd be doing a lot better. They really would be. And this disqualification finish, 2 straight disqualification finishes. Not only do you have the DQ in the Drew versus Mason T-Bar match, okay, he's getting double teamed. Braun's got to be there to make the save to set up the next match. Fine. But then another disqualification, and that's the disqualification? I get that you had to unmask them. I get that maybe you wanted to have a non-finish, but couldn't they brawl to a double countout and then unmask them to a non-finish? They're trying to escape the ring, but, you know, like, they're all brawling outside the ring. The referee loses control of the match, something like that. You know, when all 4 guys jump in the ring and they're just fighting. So it's not one team's fault or the other. Just do a double disqualification. That would have made more sense than Drew hitting the guy with his own mask, and then it's like, oh, now Drew loses by disqualification. It's dumb. It doesn't make sense. Just, you know, there are ways to do this. There are better ways to do this. Just think about it. Or call me. We need a finish to this match. Why don't you just do like a double, like a no contest? That's what I would do. Do a no contest. Jump in the ring. Everybody's in there. They fight. Referee loses control. He rings the bell. Braun and Drew get the advantage. They start beating on him. Mason T-Bar try to slide out of the ring. Braun and Drew each grab one of their heads, rip off the mask. As these guys slide out of the ring, their masks come off. And then Braun and Drew are left standing in the ring with the guys' masks, and then they're standing there without their masks on looking at them from outside the ring. That's much better. It's much better. But they don't do that. Instead, Drew hit the guy with his mask and got disqualified for it. Simple shit that they could do that they don't. Just call me next time. We're thinking about doing a gimmick for Alexa Bliss where she has a doll that makes her do evil things. Yeah, don't do that. Bad idea. Just call me. We have no tag team division. We have like 3 teams on each show. What should we do? Merge the belts. Unify them. Have the tag team champions able to go on both shows. You already have the precedent set with the Women's Tag Team Championship. Easy fixes to a lot of the shit WWE does. We want a new play-by-play guy on Raw. Who should we get? Not Adnan Virk. How about a wrestling guy? Call Kevin Kelly. Maybe you could steal Tony Schiavone away from AEW. anything. I mean, misstep after misstep from the WWE that could be avoided with one phone call to Big Dave so I can set you motherfuckers straight. Unbelievable. Doug Hepburn says Benjamin and Cedric are replaced by guys who don't fit in with the Hurt Business. Yeah. I mean, according to MVP, they're not in the Hurt Business, so I don't know if they were replaced. Just terrible stuff. Not a good episode of Raw tonight. I'm giving it on 10. I'd probably give it a solid 2.5. 2.5 on 10. Angelo is right. You should all petition to hire me as a head writer of Raw. I would make Raw great again. Make Raw great again. I would love to do that, but I don't think they would listen. I don't believe that the WWE is devoid of creative ideas. I believe that there are people working for that company who do know what they're doing. They're just not listened to. There are good wrestling people out there. There are good wrestling minds out there. They're just not in charge of the WWE right now. I mean, Vince knows wrestling. He knows. I think he's trying to change what wrestling is. And it's not great. This version of WWE is not great. 2 weeks now, removed from WrestleMania. We haven't seen anything terrific. And I don't know where we're headed here with the WWE. WrestleMania was good. At least Mania was good, right? Mania was pretty good. Gotta admit. You go into the show and the build was awful and people were not happy about the card on paper, but it delivered. For the most part, it delivered. It was pretty good. Night 1, I think, was better than Night 2, but, at least they kind of delivered on their big show. The lack of crowd really hurts. The lack of crowd really, really hurts. The fake reactions from the Thunderdome. It's a bad atmosphere for pro wrestling. And it's never been more obvious than it is right now. After seeing fans back for WrestleMania, after hearing real reactions, it's never been more obvious that the Thunderdome is just not good than it is right now. Because when they started, when they started doing this with no fans, when COVID started, first they did it in an empty performance center, then they had a few NXT people. Like, we went from fans to empty buildings, and it was like, okay, we get it now. But they did empty buildings for a while, and then they did, a few NXT people, and then they did the Thunderdome. And it was like, okay, well, it's better than nothing. But then we get WrestleMania with people, and we have to go back to the Thunderdome. That's a big letdown. It's a big letdown. Of course, there are safety issues with people and crowds and all that, but it's still not fun to watch on TV. I'm not in those crowds. I want to see real people at wrestling shows. And if you can do it safely, do it. Put as many people in a building as you can safely. I would rather hear 10 people in an empty building, like a 15,000-seat arena with 10 people in it, given real reactions, 10 real wrestling fans. I would rather hear that than the Thunderdome. Because it's just all fake reactions. I want to hear what real people are thinking about this stuff. Because the WWE frames it in such a way. It's, even when there are real people there, they try to ignore the people and kind of go with their own plans and who they're pushing, regardless of the crowd reaction. But they sometimes have to adjust. But without the crowd, they don't have to adjust anything. They just do whatever they want. Meanwhile, we're watching this on TV, and it feels like it gets worse every week. I feel like the crowd was always a good kind of reset. You get to a crowd, you get to New York, you get to Chicago, get to Philadelphia, you hear a real crowd, you hear real reactions, you hear real hardcore wrestling fans telling you what they think, and then it kind of recalibrates WWE and, okay, well, this guy's not so over. Like, the fans are so important. It really tells you who's working and who isn't. And you could say, well, social media numbers and this and that, it's not the same as the people that buy tickets to go and watch a show. People in an arena is what we need to experience pro wrestling. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. Thank you to the members that I saw here tonight. Thank you to all the members. Appreciate you. Don't forget to become a member here of the YouTube channel over at the Ringside Report Network. Become a member. Thank you to Angelo. Thank you to Patrick C. Hamilton. Thank you to Doug Hepburn, Craig Paquette as well. Is that all the members I saw tonight? I want to give a shout out to all the members that I saw in the chat tonight. I think that's all the members that I saw here tonight. Angelo, Doug, Craig, Patrick, my man. And thank you to everybody else watching. We surely appreciate you. Doug Hepburn, you are the Super Chat leader of the night. Uh-oh. Wait. Maybe not. Angelo is now the Super Chat leader of the night. Of course you are, Angelo. Of course you are. Thank you. Thank you for the recap, Dave. Much appreciated. Thank you, Angelo, for the Super Chat. Much appreciated. Thank you. You guys keeping me on here, I'm telling you. I'm watching this show for you guys. I'm doing these shows for you guys, right? And, whew, it's rough. It's hard out there. It's hard out there, but you guys are keeping it going. So thank you to Angelo. Thank you to Doug. Thank you to Patrick for the Super Chats. Angelo swooping in at the last minute once again. You are the Super Chat leader, my man. Go to ringsidereport.net. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. If you follow me on Instagram, I mostly post about toys that I've bought and candy and chips that I bought.
Super Chat. Super Chat.
What? Uh-oh. Are we doing a battle? If a battle happens, like, I have to stay on, I guess. Doug Hepburn just took the lead in the Super Chat battle, Angelo. Are you guys battling now? What's happening? Don't battle. Don't battle. The show's over. I want to leave. I don't want to keep going. I got nothing more to say. We're done. I'm promoting shit. I mean, we could look at my Instagram if you guys want. We could Super Chat battle. You guys could do a Super Chat battle, and I could show you what my Instagram looks like. It's mostly like toys and stuff that I buy. I'll hang on with you guys for a minute and show you my Instagram.
Super Chat. Super Chat.
Aw, see? Aw, jeez. Aw, jeez. Wait a second. I just saw... Wait a second. What happened? It was like two me's there. You see that? When I heard the Super Chat, I had to go see who did it. It was Angelo. Angelo. So wait, is Angelo in the lead now? Good God almighty. I thought the show was over, guys. What are you doing? You guys are confusing me. Angelo dropping the Super Chat. Look at that. There was double me on the screen. That's weird, eh? All right, Angelo, you're the Super Chat leader of the night. Doug, leave him alone, man. I mean, I don't know. If you want, I guess you can battle him if you want. Like, you guys can go back and forth. It helps the Ringside Report Network survive. I mean, you guys are the lifeblood of the network. So, for the good of the network and the good of the team, I have to stay on if you guys are dropping Super Chats. But I think we're good. I think we're good. Right? Like, you guys understand, like, I have to kind of, right? But the show's over. You guys want to see my Instagram? I buy toys a lot. Look at these cool toys that I bought. Look at that. That's a Harper that I got. I got all these at an auction. I bought these at an auction. That's a Sting from WCW, and that's a Hollywood Hogan. I mean, how cool is that? You know what I mean? So these are the kinds of things that you will see on my Instagram. Stuff like this. Nintendo stuff. I collect Nintendo Hot Wheels. Only Nintendo Hot Wheels. Look at that Bowser monster truck. Beautiful. Look at that. Amiibo. I have a complete Amiibo collection. If you guys know what Amiibo are, I have all of them. All of them. I collect Nintendo things. There, more amiibo. And more, those are amiibo cards. Those are super rare, and I have those, and they're awesome. And there's more Mario shit. So that's my Instagram, guys. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA for more Nintendo collectibles, because that's mostly what I post. Nintendo collectibles and wrestling toys and chips. Ever had 3D Doritos? They're delicious. Okay? That's it. I'm done. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you for being done for the night. I am also done. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, though. Angelo, you are the Super Chat leader of the night. Once again, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for letting me go. I feel like you guys were holding me captive for a couple minutes there, but the show's now over, and I will see you all again Wednesday night after Dynamite.